Everybody, thanks for checking out the Chris Gethard Show podcast. It's really cool that you're checking this out.
We're about to do, I think, the dumbest show we've done in years.
His life would be trashed!
And you better believe I'm trashed.
We are scrappy trash people.
What's the point of this show? I just turned it on.
We've always been with this show.
We've always been trash people. We will always be trash people.
It's true.
This doesn't feel real.
Live from my mother's basement. We are back, but we are not here to delight the children of New York as dinosaurs. No, we are here to delight the denizens of the world with stories about the Chris Gethard Show. I'm Emily Pineapple.
I'm Judge Robin.
And I'm Forrest, the keeper of the cannon.
And today we are discussing episode 9, the dance battle episode, which aired on August 17th, 2011. Our musical guest was the Ouroboros, which was actually a dance crew. And the panel included Chris Gethard, Bethany Hall, still as Geth's assistant, the Human Fish, Murph the Reservoir Dog, Reservoir Dog, Murph, Random Gene, and Shannon O'Neill. The theme for today's game was a dance-off at the sound of a vuvuzela. The last person who spoke would have to engage in a dance battle against a member of the Ouroboros. And the theme for the questions today is one near and dear to my heart. But before we talk about that question, I would like to take care of some trash people business before we left on our April hiatus. I promised I promised y'all that perhaps we would bring you something new and exciting from our journeys. So who wants to share where we went?
We went to Star Wars Celebration Chicago in Chicago, and one of the guests there was Bobby Moynihan.
Bobby Moynihan of the Chris Gethard Show.
And he was doing autographs because he's also on Star Wars Resistance. And so Emily Pineapple had a great idea, which would be that we would talk to him, book an autograph, go in all of our TCGS regalia, and then just like try to talk to him about the Chris Gethard Show and try to get a photo with him in all our Geth finery. And then Judge Robin and I had a disturbing lack of faith.
Oh, but why? What proved that this would be a good idea? Who wants to tell the story of what another fan did?
So, while we're at Celebration, we see that in the Geth Heads Facebook group, another fan named Tyler Anderson did just that.
Yep.
He went and said that his favorite Star Wars thing that Bobby had ever done was his video with Gethard, where Gethard is Lobot and Bobby is Porkins. And it's a great video. I'll try to include it in the show notes. And Bobby loved it. Bobby thought it was great. And so the idea would have been killer. And we'd have this great story and a great photo to share with all of you.
But no. Why? Because you all thought that Bobby Moynihan wouldn't think that's hilarious.
To be fair, I also thought I wasn't going to think it was hilarious, but...
I was just cheap.
We were also going to go around the hall and ask people to react to the Lobot video. But I was zonked out on the day that Judge Robin was with us in the hall. That was my wheelchair day.
So I just took a lot of photos.
Yeah. Didn't happen. A disturbing lack of faith.
And we were left with shame and consequences.
But we're back. We're back to talk about the Chris Gethard Show. And Judge Robin, do you have anything to add about the Celebration debacle?
No.
Just shame.
Can we call it Celebrate Gate?
Celebrate Gate. The theme for the calls today, which is something I'm very excited about, is
there anybody who's had their house broken into? More importantly, I want to hear from people who break into houses tonight.
I think he wants to talk to me, you guys. Have either of you ever broken into anywhere?
Well, yeah, you know my answer. I used to break into your place all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But you had a key.
No, I didn't have a key. I was always kind of worried because, like, it faces directly towards someone else's window. So someone else just saw, like, people just like sneak into that apartment all the time.
No, she saw me when I first moved in there. She came out on the balcony and was like, excuse me. Hello, very nice lady. Hello, excuse me. I was just like, oh, I live here. She's like, okay.
See, but I often wear all black and a black beanie, so I literally look like a cartoon robber. And so I was concerned.
But have you ever broken into someone's house like that wasn't mine? That wasn't a place that you were invited?
Oh, I broke into my house, so I thought that would count until you finished that sentence. No.
This is all you, Emily.
I used to break into a lot of places. It was something fun that we would do in college, is break into frat houses. We would just sort of find a window, usually on party nights, so that no one would really notice. But it was pretty great. There were some fun windows that we would often go through. And then like on the third time, like getting into the house that way, like some dude would be in his room and just be like, hey. And it was like me and like 3 other girls. So they weren't particularly concerned.
Oh, you're just breaking into frat houses? It was really easy to break into our frat house. You just like kind of walk through the front gate because no one ever locked it. We got our TV stolen like 3 times.
Oh my God.
I think the longest we ever had a TV was literally 1 week. Because every time we got a TV, it was literally stolen within the week.
Oh my God.
Oh wow. Were these nice TVs or?
Yeah, these were like nice big TVs. We had one. We actually like built like a chain, and we chained it to the. We chained the stand of the TV to the desk it was on, and someone just came in and undid the stand and took the TV.
I never maliciously broke into anywhere. I would often break into the art studio at school because in high school I would get there very early in the morning and nothing was open. So I would break into the art studio by climbing up a tree and then jumping to the window of the upper studio and then jimmying open the window. And then like my art teacher would get there and be like, how did... Yeah, okay. He was a cool guy.
Oh, we used to break into the tunnels underneath our college, but I don't know. I think everyone did that. That doesn't really count.
Oh yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I stole a book from the library in there.
What?
They have like the underground library there. Oh, there's just like an underground room in that full of books. I took one.
What? Oh my God, no, I never saw that.
Oh.
Would you be willing to go back and leave a copy of Lose Well in the underground library?
They started locking all the doors to the tunnels.
Never mind.
By my senior year, yeah, it was much harder to get in.
Yeah, I really haven't. Nothing's come to mind. I just didn't break into places because I'm a good boy.
You've broken into our hearts, Forrest.
Oh, thank you.
So let's get into the episode today. It began with something pretty fun.
By far the most rousing applause to start a show in that it's the only time that's happened. Thank you. Wow.
And then, Chris introduces the panel, including that Random Gene was somehow able to send a piece of physical mail to Murph.
Yeah, and Murph and Geth didn't know how she got Murph's address. And then she tries to answer, but you can't quite hear it. It sounds like she says it was on, and then you can't make out the rest of it. So I don't know if it was online or on like a call sheet or something.
So what we're going to be doing is trying to find Murph's address and mail him something. Isn't that right?
Also, it's 2011. Who the hell mails stuff?
He's also probably moved since.
Oh my God. Well,
then.
that's even better. Because we'd be sending like some random weird Murph shit, like to some random people's houses.
Doing random things, Random Gene.
And that's when Geth introduces the reason for his question about breaking in is that he hasn't been sleeping because someone was jiggling his doorknob.
That sounds terrifying.
That's happened to me like twice in this apartment.
Really?
Oh my God, really?
Oh yeah, but it was some like drunk guy. The apartment next to mine looks really similar to mine. So I think it was people in the wrong address. To be fair, like my friends have come and visited me and like gone to that address and knocked on the door next door and scared the shit out of some like small Indian woman.
When I was in college, a random drunk dude appeared on my balcony once. It was the balcony that faced the frat, so I wasn't like too concerned. But he was like sure that someone else lived there, and I'm like, my dude, please walk through my apartment and leave through the front door. And then he fell flat on his face, like as he entered my apartment, like tripping on nothing. I'm just like, oh, my friend.
No one broke into my apartment.
College was fun.
Anywhere I've lived, I've never had my house broken into.
And that's when he asks the panel if anyone has ever broken into anything. And we learned that Murph has.
We didn't learn that. We knew that already.
Almost like the Robin Hoods of illicit drugs.
Yeah, it was not surprising that if anyone had, it was going to be Murph.
Yeah. I mean, they would just break into rich people's houses. And then we get our first caller. The first caller, Jake Fogelnest of Public Access Radio and Sirius Satellite fame.
So when Jake was 13, someone tried to break into his house. And he had skipped school, so he was home and just sleeping in because he was 13, decided to skip school. And so he wakes up and tries to get into his bedroom, and the door's locked, and the dude's just inside stealing stuff. So he has to call his mom and to like be like, hey, there's a guy stealing stuff in our house, but also at the same time admit that he was skipping school.
That asshole robber fucked you twice, Jake.
So that asshole robber fucked him twice.
And then Jake brings up a really interesting point that I want to chat about with y'all.
Random Gene is no longer random.
Wow.
It's completely expected, Gene.
Do y'all think that Gene is still random?
I will say this, like, I've watched ahead, I've seen a bunch of episodes where Random Gene comes back, and she still surprised me with the splits.
Yeah, I think she's still random. The splits and the pirouettes were completely unexpected.
The cartwheel I saw in another episode.
Cartwheels are pretty standard fare, but the splits, like I also took dance lessons until I was about 13. This all comes later in this episode. So if you, like most of the general population, are not watching this episode of the Chris Gethard Show and then listening to us talk about it the way it should be, for we are the Talmud of the Chris Gethard Show. That joke doesn't even make sense.
Was that a Jewish deep cut?
It was a Jewish joke that doesn't actually make sense.
That was a Jewish deep cut.
It wasn't even an accurate deep cut.
It's like the Chris Gethard Show would be the Talmud and we would be the commentary around it on the edges of the page.
I suppose, yeah.
If we're trying to...
Well, the Talmud is also commentary on the Torah. So we could say that the Chris Gethard Show's the Torah and then we are the Talmud thereof, as we create this commentary therein, which we do hope that future podcasters will then create a commentary based on our commentary.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I was hoping one of our listeners would go up to a mountain and come back with like 10 stones based on my judgments.
That is also a valid option. But yeah, I think I'm going to agree. I think that Gene is still pretty random. What about you, Forrest?
I think she's still random. I think the splits came out of nowhere. I understand what Jake's talking about, but I don't think she's completely expected Gene. I think there's still plenty of randomness.
But Gene also gets a little bit of comeback with Jake Fogelnest.
I like listening to you on Sirius sometimes. You play good music when me and my friend are listening to indie in the car.
She's trying to butter him up. She's trying to butter him up. Let's see if it works on Jake.
Getting to know her more. You're really awesome, Gene.
Gene's really good. She's a model of a certain type of fan, I believe.
Look, this is Gene's episode.
This really is.
Oh yeah, she's great on this episode.
We then get our first musical guest break. The Ouroboros dance crew dances for us. They break out some intense break dancing. What did you guys think of their dancing?
I feel like we're gonna talk a lot more about them later on, so I'm gonna hold off on judgment till later on.
We get a judgment from Shannon.
Their balls kept hitting the floor. Like, thought there was something wrong.
But of course,
she was creaming her slip the entire time.
Yeah.
That would be Jean. Jean was apparently...
She was creaming her slip the entire time.
Yeah.
Judge Robin is giving me the look of, like, Emily finds this, like, crude statement way funnier than it is.
Oh no. She got like double points for creaming her slip.
She was creaming her slip the entire time.
Yeah, I'm gonna start using that at work now.
But Jean wants all of us to know.
Just to inform you, I am not wet.
She wasn't wet.
Jean is really good at building on a joke with her like steadfast denial of the joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a very good like comedic maneuver she's landed on.
It's the Jean. She does the Jean. I don't know. That didn't work as well as a joke as I thought it would. Then we get the next call. Someone who is quite beloved.
It's the world's #1 vacation expert, Vacation Jason, as portrayed by fictional character Riley Soliner.
Geth tries to hang up. He does, I think, because, he has like the bit where he hates Vacation Jason. So he's like, oh, hang up on this guy. And then Vacation Jason keeps talking. And I think that Chris, like his face was honestly surprised that the phone was not hung up on.
Yeah, I think he still thought that the crew would listen to him.
But it was important. It was important information that Vacation Jason gave us.
Pakistani mangoes are finally coming to U.S. shelves.
Which was received, it's sort of a mid-range joke. It received
a smattering.
That was the level of the Vacation Jason jokes.
I found it much funnier than the audience or Gethard did. I thought it was a hilarious non sequitur.
He also informed everyone that people break into his bungalow all the time
to steal his records and his sunglasses collection.
Yep. At that point, he actually got hung up on.
Yeah.
After the smattering. And then we get a call from Calvin.
He has had to break into his own house, his parents' house, twice. First time, he had to shimmy through a porthole window, which he found very degrading because people could see his underwear. And then after that, he told his mom, hey, I did this. And then she locked the window so people couldn't shimmy through in the future.
That's just a rookie mistake. You never tell people how you break into their place, even as they watch you do it.
Right? Next time, he climbs up on the deck, breaks into a family room or window, while his friend is using their phone as a flashlight, and he kicks in his screen using the keys to like unscrew all the little screws. And then, as he put it, he acrobatically made his way through the window because he really wanted to eat some waffles.
Acrobatics is another very important part of breaking into places. There are many windows of various shapes that I have been able to maneuver my body through in order, windows that don't look like they would fit a human. Knowing how to like slide your shoulders and hips so that they are more narrow.
I think that's a big part of why I've never broken into anywhere. Because I am not acrobatic. I don't know what the opposite of an acrobat is, but I am that.
I've done a lot of just like climbing onto the second level of buildings in order to get through windows or portholes, I suppose, like service entrances at the top. They rarely do people lock the service entrance at the very top of a building.
I like that this is turning into Emily Pineapple's trespassing pro tips.
I can't trespass as much anymore. I live in San Francisco where that happens for legitimately unsavory reasons rather than my reason of, I wonder if I can do this.
Yeah, not all break-ins in San Francisco are larks.
And that my body doesn't always cooperate anymore.
I love that the reason he needed waffles so bad, just to loop back to Calvin's call, is because he had just done a ton of plaster art. And he was just like really hungry from all the exertion of doing plaster art.
Is plaster art exerting?
I mean, it gave him quite the appetite, so apparently.
We then get the first, and Chris is made to dance off against Red Pants Guy. I do not know his name, but he was wearing red pants, and he could break dance. What did y'all think of the dance battle?
I admired how much Gethard committed to it. Like, he really was not anywhere near as flexible as the professional breakdancer but he
did
gave
try.
it his all. Yeah.
He tried those moves.
Look, he probably did better than I would have done. I can't answer shit.
Oh, yeah. He definitely did better than I would have.
Me as well. He did a lot of this like jumping sort of move off to the side, because when the breakdancers were breakdancing, like the other dancers would like kind of hype around them and like wait to go in. There seemed to be a sort of etiquette around the battle and the dance floor. Can you tell the amount of movies about dancing I have seen, or dances that I have been exposed to?
I have neither seen Breakin' 1 nor Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I saw Step Up to the Streets.
Did they breakdance in that?
I don't remember.
Is that the one with Channing Tatum?
I think that might be Step Up 1. I don't know how deep into the Step Up lore they still get Channing Tatum.
I think after Step Up 1, he stepped down.
But one of the so of course the actual dancer wins, and informs everyone that this sound is the sound that is made when Random Gene queefs. And I personally want to say that that's not the case, because everyone knows that a person queefing...
Oh, no.
Sounds a lot more like that, you know?
I thought it was going to be the national anthem one.
Don't make her play other ones.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you because I'm saluting.
But of course, Random Gene would like to inform us.
We learned about Random Gene.
She doesn't queef. She has never queefed in her entire life. Unlike Shannon, who proclaims that she queefs all the time.
God damn it, Emily.
Definitely thought it was going to be a clip of Shannon saying it, not just that sound again.
There's sometimes there are more important clips to play, Forrest.
So the next caller is Thomas, who grew up in a bad neighborhood in Virginia.
He did, but first Shannon tells us a story.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on Shannon's story.
Like, not only are we just queef phobic here,
No.
But now we don't want to hear from Shannon. I'm sensing some real woman hating in this pod.
I just didn't want to hear that sound again.
Is that what's going on? You don't appreciate the beautiful sound of a woman queefing?
Wasn't that one not actually a woman?
No, that is a walrus. That is absolutely a walrus.
Cuckoo cuckoo.
I think that we're just gonna have to do something about that.
I'm gonna cut open your scrotum.
Oh, God damn it.
Not again. It's been cut open so many times since I started on this podcast.
So Shannon had her house broken into. They stole all her stuff, and then they came back 2 weeks later to steal more stuff, because that's what robbers do. Same thing happened to my aunt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they broke in, stole her jewelry, and then they came back like 2 or 3 weeks later. Because, they assume that you've replaced your stuff. But Shannon was mostly concerned about one item.
Then I cried because I thought they took my stuffed elephant. And I was crying really bad. And the police were like, what'd they take? I was like, my stuffed elephant. I was like up on my bed. It was like so sad.
Do you think they took the stuffed elephant the second time?
I was wondering about that, because she doesn't say.
And that is why she is the way she is today. If only she had had that stuffed elephant, she would be a much less intense human.
That was actually the original plot for the movie Taken.
I would watch Taken with Shannon O'Neill trying to recover her elephant, though. That would be great. That would be so good.
Oh my god, that would be so intense.
I think we figured out the gritty reboot of the Taken franchise.
We would get plenty of queefing. Because as she said, she queefs all the time. I want a queef-centered Taken movie. All right, you can talk about Thomas now.
So that's her special set of skills?
Yes.
Okay. Thomas.
All right, you can stop saluting, Forrest.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I mean, it's appropriate that you played our nation's anthem because Thomas lives in Virginia, which is right by D.C.
Huh.
And he lived in a bad neighborhood in Virginia. His friend's mom was dating a guy who had just gotten out of prison, and then she breaks up with him. And so one day, while Thomas and his buddy are sitting at home playing Nintendo 64, I don't think he said which game, the guy starts trying to force his way in. When he realizes he can't, he just starts knocking and being like, hey, let me in. Let me in.
With a really effeminate voice, probably to make the kids inside think like, oh, it's just some lady.
I thought he was trying to pretend to be their mom.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
That's stupid. It's so easy to tell what your mom's voice is. Just pretend to be some other random chick.
I mean, this is a guy who, when he can't get in, just decides to...
He goes out to the parking lot and proceeds to unload 2 full clips from his handgun into her car.
Right, so we're not dealing with the sharpest tool in the shed here. The guy who's like, I'm just going to shoot a car. And then Thomas thinks that someone would have died if they had let him in.
Do you think so?
I don't know. If he's mad enough to shoot a car, who knows what he'll do. And then Thomas makes his best point on his call, where he compares how Gethard was dancing to Luigi.
Because he was doing the hopping around thing, but not as well as the other dancers who make it look cool. I guess they were also kind of hopping around like Luigi, but it looked really cool when they were doing it.
Exactly. The other dancer looked like Mario.
Wait, no, hold on. Luigi does the worm in Smash Bros.
Oh, that's right.
Well, Gene had a really lovely punctuation to that.
I think I realized it. You know how in games where Luigi can double jump, he wags his legs back and forth when he's trying to struggle to double jump? I think it's that. I think he looks like Luigi's I'm struggling to get more air.
So if none of you have seen this episode or not for a long time, just imagine Geth doing the struggling double jump of Luigi. And you're good. You're good. All you need is that and the glorious sounds of a walrus queef. No, it's a walrus making a noise. I expect that they must queef.
We'll have to get a marine biologist on this show to answer that question.
They have no vag and yet they queef.
Oh, wow.
But Random Gene does the Luigi song and then gets called into the dance-off, which we have spoken about. Random Gene does a frickin' splits. She does a pirouette. She does some light ballet dance moves.
You just went back to being random. What the fuck was that? Where'd that come from? Doing pirouettes and flips and shit.
Are cartwheels not that hard?
No.
Oh, I can't do a cartwheel.
Yeah, I can't.
Have you tried?
Yeah.
I can teach you. I can't do one now, but I could probably teach you. I only can't do it because I can't put weight on my hands in that way.
I mean, I only can't do it because I'm insanely uncoordinated, but...
Big mood, Robin. Big mood.
Forrest, we're gonna have a big mood jar soon.
A big mood what?
A big mood jar, where every time you say big mood, you have to put $1 in the jar.
A whole dollar? Not just a quarter?
He doesn't say big mood that much.
He's trying to kill the big mood industry like a real millennial, so...
But you know what was a big mood?
Take a moment and look around you, and you'll find that there is beef on all sorts of things.
Can I talk about this one? Because
oh, yeah.
We all know my opinions on the lone cornmeal machine. So this is the first lone cornmeal I saw.
Oh.
Which I think is probably one of their better ones.
I'm going to cut open your scrotum. Oh! How about that?
Thank you, Emily.
How about that?
So the second one I saw, I think, was the very first episode with the scrotum thing. So when they said cologne cornmeal machine, I was excited. I was like, oh, this is this kind of quirky, goofy, random thing. And no, testicle surgery. Anyway, that is a long story about how the lone cornmeal machine blindsided me. I don't know.
Backsided you. No, I like this
me
one.
Sounds like... Never mind. Go on.
This one was fun. It was them finding beef in random spots around New York. Chris let us know that
that was just truly strange.
And it was. but in the best way, almost as best as
I'm gonna cut open your scrotum. Oh, how about that?
I will pay you to not play that anymore.
Yeah, you'll pay me to not play it anymore, but what about...
I'm gonna run out of money real fast.
Big mood.
We then get another human fish question. Germ warfare versus German warfare. The fish chooses German warfare. And as he answers, and the fish is summoned into a dance battle where he's kind of, okay, like, I don't need to do a trigger warning for this. He's straight up sexually assaulted. They just pants him. They pants the fuck out of him. That's the reaction in the studio when a freaking member of the Ouroboros just like pulls down his fucking swim trunks.
Let's also be specific here. He was not wearing anything underneath the swim trunks.
Oh yes, that does like.
But don't swim trunks have like a little like basket?
There's like the netting inside.
A ball basket?
My point being is he was hanging brain.
Right.
Human fish got nothing to be ashamed of.
Which I think the Ouroboros crew probably would have assumed, because like when someone's wearing swim trunks, you don't generally assume that they're also wearing underwear underneath it.
They also did it again later on.
Yeah.
Like they definitely didn't. That was uncalled for.
It was super uncalled for. Chris, like, very obviously, but like sort of away from the camera, like made sure that fish was okay.
Yeah.
And like cool to go on. And so he of course danced it out. He won because the crowd rallied the fuck behind him. And I never got the sound bit of Geth just yelling, "That's weird!" Like in the middle of the
based
dancing.
on the fish's dance moves.
Yeah. Yeah, and then after he wins, he gets pantsed again. But we do learn...
Best part of tonight's show, breakdancing competition or your testicles?
Breakdancing competition. My testicles.
Yeah!
All right, Emily, I'm going to have to stop you right there because it's time for my favorite segment, Fishy Explanations.
No, I thought you were going to do germ warfare versus German warfare, and I was going to talk about white supremacy. No.
Oh, no. You're talking about fish testicles.
Okay. So...
Best part of tonight's show, breakdancing competition or your testicles?
Breakdancing competition. My testicles.
Yeah!
All right. So the fish was posed whether or not winning a competition, because he just won that competition, or if his testicles were a better part of the show altogether. I think that the fish was making a commentary on the idea of how we use our bodies, and especially on manliness. It is an all-male dance crew. They are pantsing people. They're talking about queefing. There's a lot of masculinity just like oozing out of these motherfuckers. A competition can be, sort of characterized as this heated masculine thing, this performance that these guys are putting on. All of their dance moves are sexual. They are constantly grabbing their dicks. And Fish wants to say, like, you know what? It's not even my dick that wins. It's my balls. Balls come in all shapes and sizes, but you never hear anyone, like, bragging about their balls, right? No one's ever like, my balls are so big that, like, I don't know, some chick screamed about them. Fish is saying that it isn't what these guys are touting. It isn't the penis. It isn't the winning of the dance competition through these hypersexualized and extremely acrobatic moves that are important. It's what we come carrying. It's our baggage, as one could say, the bags we are born with, that actually win the day, that the human fish is packing something more important than something that is subject to competition. His testicles.
Well, and of course, if not for testicles, this whole competition could have never happened because testicles are part of the creation of life.
What?
Forrest, get the hell out of here. I didn't ask you anything.
Okay. Okay.
Like, Emily's making eloquent points here. You just come in with that bullshit? What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what, Forrest?
I'm gonna cut open your scrotum. Oh, that.
I was trying to help.
Forrest is gonna have a big mood jar, and you're gonna have a scrotum jar soon.
The next call we get is someone who, like me, breaks into houses.
It was actually really mean because I was friends with my neighbors.
And he stole their shit.
Wait, didn't you also do it because you were bored?
Okay, yes. But I didn't steal anything. I never stole anything.
Well, also, he didn't only steal things. He then immediately sold all the things he stole.
It's like if you steal the things and then they're like, oh no, someone broke into our place. And you're like, behold, all of your shit. So this is the situation.
They were stupid enough to leave their doors unlocked and their windows unlocked. So I feel like it was justified.
You're a real hero.
Like, okay, I'm gonna go on a limb here. Usually when people are stealing things and selling them, it's for one thing.
Drugs. Are you sure that it wasn't for...
Yeah, that one doesn't even make sense.
He wanted tickets to SeaWorld so that he could see the walruses queef.
Yeah, duh, Forrest. God.
Duh.
He's not on it this episode.
We then get another dance battle. Chris opens it up that the callers can ask for a dance battle from anybody in the studio versus anybody. And so we get a dance of Bethany Hall versus a guy dressed up as a rabbit in the audience.
I was really impressed by Bethany's dance moves. I didn't see that coming. Like, she was so good.
Yeah, like she can actually like really dance, like break dance.
Yeah, she's a bit of a firecracker.
Well, of course, because we had already, this was a rather sexually charged episode. The rabbit and she start freak dancing, which, as any 7th grader will tell you, is extremely taboo. And Shannon decapitated the rabbit.
I mean, they don't start freak dancing. Like, the rabbit starts humping her, which is...
Yeah. Like, they freak dance a little bit, I think, at first, but then the rabbit just, like, grabs her.
Yeah. Sexual assault, not okay. That's like Shannon just kind of like, I think that was her limit.
I appreciated the look on Shannon's face throughout this episode.
She was
just like
pissed
someone
off.
At least was like furious at what was going on.
Yeah, she was super furious. Do the Ouroboros ever come back? That's a interesting question because Shannon has like very low tolerance for bullshit.
No.
Yeah, no.
They're never the guest again.
Yeah, like that's actually like legitimately bullshit.
I was kind of surprised how like I think this is because it was an earlier episode, but Chris really wasn't like Chris didn't shut that shit down either.
If you remove your enemy's head and wear it, you win that battle.
I also like to imagine that rabbit was a rental, and the Bethany just took the head home, and the guy had to explain why he doesn't have a rabbit head when he returns the suit.
Also, I like that he just like sprinted off the moment he was exposed.
Outed as a rabbit. Outed as a rabbit.
Who was it who was outed as a rabbit?
Well, Chris said it was Jay Miller, who hosted mid-evenings on MNN, which was like I think the show after TCGS. And so that was probably part of why he ran out of the studio. Were I in an animal costume and Shannon ripped the head off of the costume I was wearing for whatever reason, I too would just try to get the heck out of Dodge. Because like if
Shannon's a scary
I don't
person.
want Shannon O'Neill after me.
Oh, we get a audience member next to share a breaking in story. What was her name? Tanya?
Yeah.
Tanya, she seemed very sweet. She talks about having to break back into her house after breaking out to go get wasted as a 15-year-old. And Chris, if they had been in high school together.
1% chance you would have looked in my direction, and I probably would have been in love with you.
Of course, if Murph had known her in high school, if they'd both been 15.
We may have had sloppy sex in high school.
She broke into her house after getting an underage drinking ticket, which she accidentally dropped on her front door.
She also had to jump a ravine.
Yeah.
Which I'm just very impressed that the blackout drunk, she was coordinated enough to jump the ravine and climb up the window and without like just falling off the roof.
And then she tells the story of her brother who took a bunch of shrooms and ended up with a baseball bat in a stranger's house.
Like you're saying, though, like, my brother didn't deserve the ticket.
Yeah,
but he did. Get super fucked up and break into a stranger's house wielding a bat.
I mean, Chris is right.
Yeah, so our next call was from a guy named Anthony, who was, of course, outraged by the treatment of the human fish, leading to the Ouroboros screaming that
Fish have no rights.
And then just, like, tells a really dumb story. He's, like, adapting a... What movie was that even?
Ocean's 11.
And then we get, like, half of a story from Bethany right before the end of the episode. I really want to know what the end of this story is. Does it ever come? Okay, well, here's the first part of the story.
My roommates and I used to have these drug dealers over for breakfast a lot. And because they lived in our building.
Oh, Beth.
That was just the cutest, like... I was like, Bethany having breakfast with drug dealers. Oh, of course it's because they lived in their building. She was just being hospitable.
Yeah, I had no idea that breakfast with drug dealers could be so wholesome.
Can we just do a quick shout out to Random Gene's joke during that one?
Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to Random Gene who asks
if they were eating Special K.
The motherfucking fun, son.
And that's the end of the show. They decide because it's the end of the show, it will be a dance battle between all of the Chris Gethard Show audience and panel and the Ouroboros, leading to an extended dance breakdown. We see some warming. We see some team ups with Murph and Rob Malone, the world's greatest dancer. Rob Malone can legitly like break dance.
Yeah, he's the world's greatest dancer.
I just like assumed that it was sort of a joke because he just really gives it his all when he's dancing. But like, no, he can like really dance.
Yeah, he's really good. He's the world's greatest dancer.
That's when Shannon rips the shirt off of one of the Ouroboros guys.
I like that she ended up smacking him with one of the human fish's flippers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I see that you wrote it's the flipper of justice. We've reached the end of the episode. That means it's time for all of our special segments. We're going to start with mine, MV NPC.
I love you!
My favorite audience member today is Banana Man. Why? Because during the dancing portion, when Bethany is dancing, you see him like watching her dance, and then there's like a moment where they like pan to his face, and that is the moment when he fell in love. It is the moment when he fell in love with Bethany. And then later during the last like dancing part, he's like dancing, and then he tries to go and like dance next to Bethany, like to like show off his dance moves, but like he does not have the dance moves, and she like completely ignores him. So I will continue updating everyone on the continuing and ongoing love story between Banana Man and Bethany. Our next section is that canonical corner over there where canon happens.
That's all you need to know.
So there's a couple of connections on this one. First, Jake Fogelnest, who we've talked about, was also a public access legend because when he was 14 years old, he hosted a show called Squirt TV, which was recorded in his bedroom. Much like the Chris Gethard Show, that show jumped from public access to cable. In that case, it was MTV. And he'll appear again on TCGS in episode 105, which is Caller Critiques. Another connection is that Shannon is wearing a DSI shirt in this episode, and Dirty South Improv was a comedy theater in North Carolina that has since shut down, and its old space is now the Chapel Hill outpost of the People's Improv Theater.
Why'd it shut down?
Because, appropriately enough, given this episode, there were sexual harassment and assault allegations towards the owner.
Yay for shit shutting down when people do shitty things.
I didn't mention it because it seemed like not a funny thing to bring
then
up.
why'd you put it in the notes? Why'd you put it in the notes, Keeper of the Canon Forest? You know I'm gonna poke everything I can poke.
That's true. I should have known.
Speaking of sexual assault.
We are now at our final segment of the night before the expanded universe, which is going to be replacing us playing us out over a local band, because it is just a lot of work finding songs. So Judge Robin, all rise for the Honorable Judge Robin.
And be seated. All right, everyone. I'm Judge Robin, the unofficial official judge of all things comedy. And at the end of every episode, I will be giving out the scores that have been allocated during the episode. So let's see here. All right, so Murph got 1 point for being the Robin Hood of illicit drugs.
Almost like the Robin Hoods of illicit drugs.
Shannon got 1, of course, for coming up with this phrase I'm going to use as much as possible, creaming her slip.
She was creaming her slip the entire time.
Yeah. Jean got 2 points this episode. 1 for letting us all know she's not wet.
Just to inform you, I am not wet.
And 1 for like pulling the splits out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, she definitely got a point. You know, she get 2 points for that. She's at 3 points.
Sick.
Chris got a point for taking a long, hard look at the human fish's junk. And of course, in first place, this episode was Shannon for being the only champion of consent there.
Not only does she have the best hair in television, she also has the best morals in television.
Oh, what's the final judgment on this episode? Would you watch this episode? Would you recommend it to a person who is unfamiliar with the Chris Gethard Show, or perhaps watching it through for the first time?
I'm going to go ahead and say no. It didn't age super well.
Yeah, there's a lot of gems in this episode, but it's also like it benefits from like knowing these people and like loving them and being like, oh, like Chris wasn't sure what to do because it's the 9th freaking episode.
I agree that it doesn't necessarily age super well because there's so much
tomfoolery.
Yeah. There's some real shady shenanigans.
Tomfoolery and just
They sexually assaulted the
Yeah, you sexually started.
A half man, half fish.
Anything goes into battle.
Yeah, that being in the middle of the episode really is like, oh.
But yeah, I'm gonna agree. If you have a friend who's like, what's the show that you watch? Tell me which episode to watch because there's so many. Like, don't tell them to watch episode 9. All right, we have come to the end of our episode, and we are now going to be ending these episodes with the Chris Gethard Expanded Universe. Forest Keeper of the Canon, tell us where we can check out our favorite Chris Gethard Show guests, cast members, friends, and fans as of the date that around when we are recording this, which is May 14th of 2019. Hello, future individuals. I hope there is still a world. Is Trump still president? I'm sorry.
You can hear Connor Ratliff play a portrait of William Howard Taft on episode 15 of the podcast Everything is Alive. You can see Gethard teasing something on Instagram at CGPMNN. You can watch Carmen Christopher, a writer on the True TV version, in his video I'm Killing It on Vimeo. And you can watch Connor O'Malley, the Beast Masturbator, in episode 4 of the new Netflix show I Think You Should Leave. And I'll include links in the show notes to all these various things so you can check them out more easily.
So what are we doing for the outro now? Is it just... Alright, I'm pausing.
Well, wait. Okay.
Is that what you were waiting for?
Are we actually just doing that for the outro?
No, I'm gonna put some music. I'm gonna put some Maeth. The music you are hearing right now is Wolves by Maeth. Maeth, look them up on Bandcamp and on Spotify. That is Maeth. You're probably just gonna be hearing this song every time we do an outro. Thanks so much and good night and good luck. I'm sorry about the future.
I'm totally naked wandering around, and I was embarrassed that I was a bunny, so I was covering up my giant teeth.
Okay.
Because they humiliated me.